In Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. The next discussion on the program. There are indications that peace may have returned to the APC family in Zamfara State with the reconciliation of weary factions by the national leadership of the party. The state governor, Bello Matawale, his predecessor, Abdulaziz Yari, and Senator Kabiru Garba Marafa have agreed to work together in the interest of the state and its people. What price have these gladiators paid for this peace? We have joining us in the studio a member of the APC, Dr. Mikhail Barau, in the studio. He joins us live, and then also joining us via phone is the special advisor to the governor on public enlightenment and media and communications, Mr. Zailani Bappa. They join us to talk about this. Thank you for joining us on Daybreak this morning.
Thank you and good morning.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome on the program. All right, well, finally, we may say that politically in Zamfara State, we may have to now take some breath of fresh air, isn't it? Now that we've seen the reconciliation. How do you feel about this? Let me start with you.
Okay, again, good morning and thank you very much for this opportunity. The other time I joined this program online and it was about the tension in Zamfara State. The state has been in the news for bad for about a decade now. First is insecurity, which is barely more than 10 years now. And then the political crisis that engulfed the state, which started 2018, 2019, and is on. So I'm here today. I'm very happy that the discussion today is not about the tussle, it's about the resolution and the potential benefits of it. And of course, you talk about the price that the actors have to really pay for that to happen, and it's really very high for that matter. So first of all, it's really commendable the way the leaders you have mentioned, the governor, His Excellency, Alhaji Bello Muhammad Mutawalla Maradun, His Excellency the former governor, Abdulaziz Yari Abubakar, and of course distinguished Senator Kabir Marafa, whose faction I really belong, and I'm aware of all that happened for this peace to happen. They have all demonstrated leadership, commitment, patriotism to see that the state really moves forward. You know, when things are happening like this, at lower level, a lot happens. People have a lot of emotional engagements. Some may even lose their lives and properties and things to remember. But then leaders have to be what they are, take leadership. So just a week or so, we had that the former governor, Yari, signed a pact with the serving governor, Matawale, and that they agreed to share certain positions and certain principles of governing the state. And Senator Marafa, on his part, having agreed to join Yari since February 2021, also brought his people to Abuja in hundreds, and they all agreed that in principle, they have agreed that Yari should be the leader, and that since Yari had actually agreed to sign this pact, then let it be. So here we are,
Doctor,
all the development.
Doctor, before the Monday rally, there were plans for Senator Kabiru Marafa and former Governor Yari to defect to the PDP. So what exactly happened to change that?
Oh yes, that's really interesting. So since July 2021, when Governor Matawale, actually I tried to cut a lot of background because I know we have limited time. So when Governor Matawale joined APC, Yari and Marafa felt aggrieved because as stakeholders, they wanted some 2-3 days to make consultations for that to happen, but they were denied that opportunity. And then, in a way, they went to Gusau and received from Abuja and received Matawale. ever since they have been in this kind of tussle. And this has not been resolved for quite some time until when the APC convention was done and they just realized that they were not in the scheme of things and they were true to themselves. And the process of moving to PDP came. But then because you are just upset here, you can't just move into another house without making the proper audit and check. So, of course, there were plans to move to PDP. But we know that also PDP had its own issues. Take, for example, the post of the governor. There were about 4 people that picked the form and expressed interest in that. Now, the concern is that should we just move into PDP and impose the same unfair treatment that we felt we had in APC in the same party? Then we expect similar crisis to happen, and then the state will not be in peace.
All right,
so, of course, as Senator Marafa said, let me just make this point. We packed our things just to move, but key stakeholders came and said, hey, come here, let us talk together, and things were resolved, and I think it's good for the state.
All right, before we get back to you now, let's get Zailani Bappa, who is the Special Advisor to the Governor on Public Enlightenment, Media and Communications, also weighed into this. Well, you've heard all that our guests here in the studio have to say. Let's get your own reaction as well to the new developments in Zamfara State politically.
In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Let me begin by saying that what has happened in Zamfara State in the last few days, which is a culmination of months, or I would say, or more than a year of activities of politicking in the state, is a divine kind of development, because if a few months ago somebody would tell you that such a thing will happen, you'll never believe it, considering the kind of division, the kind of conflict, especially from followers of both, or I would say all the factions of the political party is concerned. This is not unexpected, because despite the fact that Dr. Bello Mohamed Matowalle, Abdulaziz Yari, Marafa, and all the rest, including their leader, who is the first executive governor of the state, Ahmad Sani Bakura, together formed the APP in 1998, and they clinched the leadership of the state, which is the first democratic government in 1999. Since that time, Zamfara state government decided to take that political party, that philosophy as its own. So you can never beat that kind of philosophy within Zamfara state. As God has it, in 2019 there was a kind of mistake that was done by the political party, which costed it its position. And PDP clinched the position which our executive governor was the governor at that time and up to date. But considering the fact that if Zamfara state and its people and its politics have to thrive, if development and peace has to be brought into Zamfara state, the entire political class have to be at the same page. And that is exactly what Dr. Bello Mohamed Matowalle thought, and being part of the ANPP, and today he has decided to come back into the fold as APC. And as you can expect, when he comes back into the political party, those who were holding the political party at that time will feel offended, because under the party's principles and constitution, the leader of the party is always the incumbent governor of the state. So which means the executive governor of the state has taken all. And of course, that created more acrimony within the system. And let me just tell you that His Excellency decided on his own to make sure that all the faults are contacted. And I can assure you that for more than a year, he has been making contact with all the various factions within the APC to ensure that this kind of development happens. and many people didn't believe that it was going to happen. And surprisingly enough, after the convention of the party, there are rumors that many of the big wigs within the party will defect to another political party, will abandon the APC in the state. But as God has it, I said, this is God's own design, and today I want to assure you that every person who has followers within Zamfara state, every person who matters in politics in the Zamfara state have become one broom. That is, we can now sweep the problem we have in the state, which is the issue of security, which is the issue of underdevelopment, which is the issue of poverty, and the rest. And so far, His Excellency and all the stakeholders who have deliberated over this issue have agreed and have come to terms where everybody will be given ample opportunity to participate in the next dispensation within the political system of the Zamfara state. And I want to believe that this is the first time
Mr. Bapa.
State.
Okay, Mr. Bapa, we've heard everything you have said about how everybody has come together. My question is to the doctor sitting here. What had to give? Because, I mean, what had to give? Because a lot of, there were grievances. As we know, the PDP did not win Zamfara State. It was because of the infighting within the APC that the PDP had to take that seat, because the matter went as far as the Supreme Court. Now, what I'm asking, and what a lot of Nigerians would like to know is, how was this matter settled? What were the inner agreements that were reached? How were you able to settle everybody?
Well, I think two things are at work here. One, the issue of leadership, which we have at different levels, legislative and executive, at state and federal levels. So part of the agreement was, okay, who would take what in terms of that design and structuring. So it was very clear who takes the senatorial posts, how many, and which group, and who takes the National Assembly, and who takes the State Assembly, and what proportion of it. That is very clear. People will argue that, is it all about leadership and sharing? But the whole point is that until and unless you are there, you can't bring the desired change that you stand, the ideal way you think that the society should be governed. Then the second thing is that I think all of them are concerned about the greater interest of the state. The state has been in this sorry state, I would say one of the worst situations in the country in terms of insecurity, in terms of underdevelopment. And from personal conversation, at least with Yari and Marafa that I know, they have this concern that, okay, what is happening and what can we do about it? And they all realize that there is this point called consensus of the elite, right? And they realize that this is required for the state to move forward. So the pact was very clear about what position goes where, and of course the common belief that we all have to be together to move the state forward. And I see the state benefiting in this in two ways. One, the resources being derailed in the process of all this political tussle. You see legal issues are engaged, lawyers take a lot from these political leaders. Political interventions are required. You see political actors from other states, from the center, making Zamfara a sort of market for displaying their wares and getting whatever benefits is there. A lot of that is happening. And of course, even to a certain extent, all the media and other engagements that have to be done for one to explain themselves.
Okay, now.
Then the other benefit, of course, is that now with this destruction over, then the attention of all these leaders is likely to come back to the state and talk about development, as my interlocutor actually mentioned.
Okay, but you know, I'm concerned about party structure and the supremacy of the party in the state. We've seen that, by virtue of this, it looks like everything is surrounded by interest and certain individuals from within the party.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that these three different interests have come together doesn't mean that they have decided to put aside their own, interests. So what's going to happen if, they are no longer there, or if tomorrow they decide that, look, it's not going in my way again? So what's going to happen to the party?
Yeah, interestingly, actually, these are more friends than foes. If you look at the background given by Mr. Zelani, for all the period of their political engagements, they have been under one platform until at one point when some of them take certain positions or the other. So this really needs to be made very clear. These are really more friends than foes. Circumstances kept them apart. And when in Africa we talk about strong institutions and strong individuals, I feel it's a balance between the two, because it has to do with our traditions, our ways. You just can't take out what strong individuals can do. And sometimes if those individuals agree to work for good, it is for the good of the system. I assure you that Zamfara
all right. Let me hear
for this.
Okay, let me hear from Zelani. How about the interest of others as well, who may not be as influential as, the big three, like we are seeing in the case of Zamfara State? Have all those concerns also been addressed? Because, there's a likelihood of, again, seeing another group spring up again tomorrow to say, well, our own concern has not been addressed. So how does your principal intends to also, as leader of the party in the state, take charge of some of those concerns?
If you have followed this development, you will realize that there is no dissenting voice in the whole of this peace process that brought this reconciliation within the APC in Zamfara State, which means that every aspect, every segment of the political party that was dissenting in the entry of His Excellency into the APC have now resolved their issues, and even the leader of the biggest faction, who is the former executive governor of the state, His Excellency Abdulaziz Yari, has mentioned it at a point in time that Dr. Bello Muhammad Matowalle has proven himself to be somebody with a very big heart.
Okay. Sorry. Let me interject there. For now, there are no dissenting voices. Agreed, right? But we are heading towards a 2023 elections, and the outcome is going to determine a whole lot, and we do not know what the outcome is going to be. So, in the event that, at the end of the day, certain persons feel aggrieved, how would you, also tackle?
As I've told you, this is a very grand design which is supported by God to ensure that the entire APC family is taken along towards 2023, so that we will have the most thriving peace and development in Zamfara State. So His Excellency has his doors open, and I want to assure you that in terms of 2023, every segment of APC, as I have said, will have the opportunity to participate in contesting again all the other political parties to ensure that APC comes out strong, because the mistake of 2019 has been made and it has taught us a lesson in APC, and we are not going to repeat anything similar to that. And this is what we all agreed. If you had followed what happened on Monday, when His Excellency was coming from Abuja, we were in Sokoto to receive them. I have never seen a time when the political actors in Zamfara State, big and small, have come together as one, believing in the agreements that have taken place in the series of sittings in Abuja and Gusau, where all segments of the political party will be taken along. And as we came along down from Sokoto to Gusau, where we had the rally, I want to assure you that all the folks, in fact, about 17 people spoke. We have been mentioning of former Governor Abdulaziz Yari. We have been mentioning of Marafa, we have been mentioning, but we have forgotten to mention even former Governor Mahmouda Shinkafi, who was there. We have forgotten to mention
Okay, Mr.
Masani,
Bappa.
who was there. We have forgotten to mention all the other
Okay, Mr. Bappa,
major actors.
Okay, Mr. Bappa, you have been able to tell us what the APC has done to come together. So my question is to the doctor here. Now the APC, as you say, is together. All the gladiators have come together. How does this translate into governance for the people?
Excellent, excellent. This is fantastic, and is actually something I would like to address. But just before then, if I will take a minute to explain some of the processes. After the agreement, I told you that Senator Marafa brought all his supporters to Abuja, and he threw the whole argument to them, and they said they have accepted. So within that camp, we don't expect any dissenting voice. On the part of Yari, now he's back in Zamfara, and he's calling all stakeholders from different constituencies. The last meeting was about 600 people in his house, and he said if any had any concern about this agreement, should stand up. And nobody stood up, which means people have accepted. So that is it. So for some of us, we are concerned that with this coming together, how would it translate to governance? First, a diagnosis of the problems of the state is important, and I will not shy away from doing that. We have critical problems. For example, now, our students in Zamfara State are not sure of writing their final examination, SSCE, WAEC for that matter. Some states have started, and that has not really happened. And some of them that sat some 2 years back have the results withheld. And I tell you that in my engagement with my principal, Senator Marafa, we talk about this, and during the meeting we said that yes, we have accepted this pact to move forward, but these are some of the critical issues, and education is one. If students will finish secondary school for 2 years and they don't have their results ready, for them to move to the next level of education is a serious concern. And some of us that are within the education sector will keep on hammering this until it is addressed. We have the issue of the state university, which is there, half alive and half dead. This is a serious concern that we feel has to be addressed. Of course, we talk about insecurity, which we hope that coming together until this is addressed, then all other things will not come. You may know that in all the states in Nigeria, it is only Zamfara State that doesn't have an airport, and that project has started for some 2 years now, and we have not arrived anywhere in that regard. So development is at the heart of this very engagement, and believe you me, once all the engagements, all the conversations are held, the next issue is to bring Zamfara on the table and begin to talk about development. And this is a state with high potentials. This is a state that is at the center of Northwest in terms of location. This is a state that says farming is its pride, and is truly so. When you look at the rivers that crisscross the state all over the place, this is a state with high cultural and art potential. You need to know that most of the major press singers in the Hausa land came from Zamfara, the Dankwairos, the Dan Anaches, and others. So there is a lot to exploit, and certainly that will be the conversation going forward.
All right, well, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we have to end it because of the time. We appreciate you coming on the program. We thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Yeah. I'm looking forward.
All right, we've been speaking with Dr. Mikhail Barau. He is a member of the APC in Zamfara State and also the special advisor to the governor on public enlightenment, media and communication, Zailani Bappa, who joins us via telephone. Thank you again for coming.